My name is Anna, and for most of my life, I believed being the reliable one in my family was something to be proud of. That belief started cracking on a Tuesday evening that felt completely ordinary until it wasn't. I was sitting on my couch in my Houston apartment, scrolling through emails after work, when my phone lit up with my mom's name. I smiled without thinking. I always did. Calls from her usually meant small talk, maybe a complaint about her shift at the dental office, maybe a question about whether I'd seen some article she'd sent earlier. "Hey, Mom," I said, tucking my feet under me. She sighed before she even spoke. A long, heavy sigh. The kind that always came right before bad news. "Anna, honey, we're broke." I froze. We can't afford to take you on vacation this year," she continued. "Everything is so expensive now. Flights, hotels, food, it's just too much." Before I could respond, I heard my brother's voice in the background. That laugh. The one he uses when he wants something to sound like a joke but absolutely isn't. "Yeah," he said, chuckling. "We gotta cut costs somewhere." For a second, I couldn't speak. Too expensive. That's what I was hearing. Not "we're struggling." Not "we need to be careful." Just, "you're the extra expense." I had spent years helping them. Years sending money when something unexpected came up. Electric bills. Medical copays. School fees for my brother's kids. I had rearranged my life around being available, financially and emotionally, whenever they needed me. And now I was the line item they were cutting. I forced a small laugh, the automatic one. The one I'd trained myself to use. "Oh. Yeah," I said. "That's fine. No worries. I get it." My mom sounded relieved immediately. "You're always so understanding," she said. "You don't have kids yet, so it's easier for you, right?" "Easier." I swallowed the lump in my throat and nodded even though she couldn't see me. "Of course," I said. "Have fun, okay?" We hung up a minute later. I sat there staring at my dark phone screen, trying to convince myself this wasn't personal. That they really must be struggling. That missing one family vacation wasn't a big deal. Still, something felt off. So instead of sulking, I did what I always do, I adjusted. I opened my laptop, checked my credit card points, and planned a tiny solo trip to New York. Nothing fancy. Budget hotel. Cheap flights. A trip where you count every dollar and pretend that's part of the adventure. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I didn't need them. I truly believed that call was the end of it. I had no idea the real damage was waiting for me at the airport. The airport was loud in that familiar, exhausting way, rolling suitcases, crying kids, flight announcements echoing off the ceiling. I stood in the economy line gripping my boarding pass like it could disappear if I looked away too long. I was proud of myself, in a quiet way. I had made this trip work. No help. No guilt money. Just me. As the line shuffled forward, I checked my phone, then glanced up, and heard it. That laugh. The same laugh from the phone call. I turned slowly, already knowing what I was about to see. There they were. My mom. My brother. His wife. Their kids. Standing at the first-class check-in. They looked relaxed. Happy. Not stressed. Not broke. My mom was wearing a new coat I'd never seen before. My brother's kids were bouncing with excitement, waving thick, glossy boarding passes in the air. "First class," one of them yelled. My stomach dropped so hard it felt physical. For a split second, my mom's eyes met mine. Recognition flashed across her face, followed by something else. Not guilt. Calculation. She gave me a tight smile. A polite one. The kind you give a coworker you don't want to talk to. She didn't come over. She didn't explain. She didn't say, "Oh my God, Anna, this isn't what it looks like." Instead, she turned back to the counter, laughing with the agent while my brother leaned casually against the desk like this was all perfectly normal. I stood there in my economy line, my cheap ticket in my hand, feeling like the stupidest person in the building. Broke families don't fly first class. Broke families don't take kids on international vacations while telling one daughter she's too expensive. And in that moment, the truth hit me with terrifying clarity. They weren't broke. They just didn't want me there. I didn't confront them. I didn't wave. I didn't cry. I watched as they were escorted past the rope, toward the lounge, toward the comfort I had helped pay for over the years without ever realizing it. Something inside me went very still. Because once you see a lie clearly, you can never unsee it. I boarded my flight, sat in my narrow seat, and stared out the window as the plane lifted off. And somewhere over Texas, I made a decision. If they wanted to see me as an expense, I would show them exactly what life looked like without my generosity. They just didn't know it yet. By the time my plane landed in New York, the anger had cooled into something sharper. Clarity. I didn't spend that trip sightseeing the way I'd planned. I still walked the city, still took pictures, still ate cheap bagels on park benches, but my mind was somewhere else. Every step, every quiet moment, I replayed the past few years like security footage. The emergencies. The just this once calls. The guilt dressed up as family love. I opened my banking app one night in my hotel room and scrolled. Transfer after transfer. Same names. Same notes. Electric bill. Soccer fees. We're short this month. I added it up. The number made my chest tighten. This wasn't help anymore. This was dependence. And worse, they had learned I wouldn't say no. So I stopped. Not dramatically. Not with an announcement. I simply didn't send money. The first test came fast. 3 days after I got back, my mom called. Her voice was already shaky before she even said hello. Anna, sweetheart, the electric company says we're behind again. Just a little this time. I took a breath. I can't, I said. Silence. You can't, what? I can't help right now. Another pause, longer this time. Then the tone changed. Confused. Slightly offended. Well, can you check? Maybe move some things around? You always figure it out. I almost laughed. No, I said, calmly. I'm budgeting. She sighed like I was the problem. Okay, she said slowly. I'll figure something out. She hung up. No thank you. No concern about my finances. No apology for lying. Just irritation. The next call came from my brother. Hey. Mom said you're being weird about money? Weird. That's what setting boundaries sounds like to people who benefit from you having none. I'm not sending money anymore, I told him. He laughed. A short, dismissive one. You're serious? Yes. Another pause. Wow. Must be nice to suddenly decide you're done helping family. There it was. Not are you okay? Not did something happen? Just accusation. I hung up before he could say more. And that's when it hit me. They didn't miss me. They missed access. And once that access disappeared, everything they'd been pretending to hold together started cracking. 2 weeks passed. Then 3. And suddenly, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. It started with missed calls. Then texts. Then voice notes that got longer and more desperate each time. Mom, Anna, please call me back. Mom, this is getting stressful. Mom, we need to talk. Need. Not want. Need. I let it ring. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't panicking over their problems. I was sleeping through the night. I was cooking real meals. I was watching my savings account grow instead of shrink. Then came the guilt weapons. My aunt messaged me on Facebook. Family helps family. Your mother is really hurting. A cousin chimed in. You've always been the strong one. Don't abandon them now. Funny how no one ever asked how much I'd already given. Or how tired I was. Or why I suddenly stopped. The truth leaked out piece by piece. Their power got cut off for half a day. My brother's credit card got declined at the grocery store, right in front of his kids. Mom tried to pull money from an old joint account she'd forgotten about. It bounced. And then, the call I'll never forget. My mom didn't start crying this time. She started angry. What is this really about? She demanded. Did someone put ideas in your head? I stared at the wall, calm in a way that surprised even me. No, I said. I just finally noticed the pattern. Her voice sharpened. So because we went on one trip, you're punishing us? There it was. They never said sorry. They never denied the lie. They just reframed it. You told me you were broke, I said. I saw you in first class. A pause. Then the most revealing sentence of all. Well, we didn't think you'd find out like that. Not we were wrong. Not we're sorry. Just bad luck I caught them. That's not the issue, I said. The issue is you decided I was the sacrifice. She scoffed. You're single. You don't have kids. You'll recover. That sentence rewrote our entire relationship in my head. I hung up. No yelling. No insults. Just a clean end to the conversation. That night, my brother sent one final message. If you don't help, don't expect to be treated like family anymore. I stared at it, and smiled. Because that threat only works if you were ever treated like family to begin with. I didn't reply to my brother's message. Not because I didn't have something to say. But because I finally understood something important, every response I'd ever given them was fuel. Silence was the first boundary they couldn't cross. 3 days later, my mom showed up at my apartment. No warning. No text. Just her standing in the hallway like she still had a key to my life. I opened the door halfway. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not weaker, just exposed. No dramatic sighs. No fake cheerfulness. I drove all this way, she said, like that alone earned her something. I didn't step aside. What do you want? I asked. She swallowed. We need to talk face to face. This isn't something you handle with silence. I almost laughed. For years, silence was exactly how they handled my feelings. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on my couch and immediately started scanning the room. The clean kitchen. The framed photos from my New York trip. The calm, stable life I'd built without them. Her eyes lingered on everything. You're doing well, she said, carefully. Yes, I replied. I am. That wasn't the answer she wanted. She leaned forward. Anna, things are complicated right now. There it was. I folded my arms. Complicated how? She sighed like she'd practiced this speech in the car. Your father's medical bills went up. Matt's behind on the mortgage. We just need a little help until things stabilize. A little. The word that had cost me tens of thousands over the years. I didn't answer. She frowned. You're really going to sit there and let your family struggle? I met her eyes. You lied to me, I said quietly. You called yourselves broke so you could exclude me and still take my money. That's not fair, she snapped. I reached for my phone and pulled up screenshots. Zelle transfers. Venmo receipts. Dates. Amounts. Month after month after month. I slid the phone across the table. Her face changed. Not guilt. Fear. You kept records, she asked. Yes, I said. And I talked to a financial advisor. And a lawyer. Her mouth opened. Closed. For years, I continued, you used emotional pressure to get money from me. That's called financial manipulation. Sometimes it's also called fraud. She stood up so fast the couch cushions shifted. You wouldn't, she said. You wouldn't do that to your own family. I stood too. You already did it to me. She tried to soften her voice, one last time. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. And I paid you back, I said. Over and over. The silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, so that's it? You're cutting us off. I shook my head. No. I'm just not funding you anymore. She left without another word. That night, my brother posted a passive-aggressive rant on Facebook about selfish people who forget where they come from. I didn't respond. Because 2 days later, something beautiful happened. My bank app sent me a notification. Savings goal reached. For the first time in my life, I was financially safe. And they felt it immediately. Because when the money stopped, so did the pretending. The calls started the next week. Not from my mom. From everyone else. An aunt I barely spoke to left a voicemail saying, your mother is under so much stress. You should really be the bigger person. A cousin texted, family helps family. Don't let money ruin relationships. Funny how money only ruins relationships when it stops flowing one way. I ignored them all. Then my brother Matt called. I hadn't heard his voice in months. Anna, he said, dragging my name out like we were still on the same team. Mom told me you're refusing to help. I laughed once. Short. Sharp. She told you that? There was a pause. So you're just cutting us off now? After everything? I leaned back in my chair. Matt, you told me I was too expensive to take on vacation. Then I watched you board first class. That wasn't, he started. I'm not finished, I said. Silence. For years, I paid your bills. Your kids' activities. Emergency after emergency. And the one time I planned something for myself, you made sure I knew I wasn't welcome. He exhaled hard. You don't understand how tight things are. No, I said calmly. You don't understand how done I am. His tone changed. Harder. Colder. So what, you think you're better than us now? That question told me everything. I think I'm done being your backup plan, I said. He hung up. The next move came 2 days later. My mom sent a family group message. 30 people. She wrote about how money had changed me and how some people forget their roots when they get comfortable. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. But this time, I replied. Once. I wrote. I was told my family was broke. I was excluded to save money. I then saw them in first class. For years, I paid bills, covered emergencies, and sacrificed my own stability. I'm no longer doing that. Please don't contact me about money again. I attached screenshots. Receipts. Dates. Amounts. Then I muted the chat. I didn't need to see the fallout. But I heard about it. Apparently, the room went quiet at the next family gathering. Apparently, questions were asked. Apparently, my mom cried and said she never meant it that way. Apparently, my brother suddenly stopped posting vacation photos. And for the first time, no one asked me for anything. 3 months later, I took another trip. This one wasn't flashy. No first class. No fancy resorts. Just a quiet coastal town, a small hotel, and mornings where I didn't wake up anxious about someone else's emergency. I sat on the beach with my coffee and watched the waves roll in. My phone buzzed once. A message from my mom. I miss you. I stared at it for a long time. Then I locked my phone and put it face down. Because missing me wasn't the same as respecting me. And love that only shows up when the money disappears isn't love, it's dependency. I didn't block them. I didn't forgive them either. I just chose myself. And for the first time in my life, that choice didn't come with guilt. It came with peace.